The European Union wants to seek the withdrawal of Russian troops from Georgia, Transnistria, Armenia, and Belarus as part of a potential peace agreement on Ukraine. It is noted that the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Kaja Kallas, has circulated a document among member states listing demands for Moscow in the context of possible negotiations between Kiev and Russia, in which the United States is playing a mediating role. According to the draft, it is not only about the withdrawal of Russian forces from the territory of neighboring states, but also about reducing the size of the army. Among the conditions are also the payment of reparations to Ukraine and the implementation of demographic and democratic reforms within Russia. Sources in EU diplomatic circles describe the proposals as maximalist, noting that in this way Brussels is responding to Moscow's hardline stance on Ukraine. At the same time, European officials emphasize that achieving a lasting peace depends not only on steps taken by Kyiv, but also on preliminary actions from Russia even before any peace initiatives begin. The document is planned to be discussed at the level of EU ambassadors and then partially brought to the meeting of foreign ministers in Brussels on February 23rd. The first part of the document states that any possible restrictions on the Ukrainian army must be accompanied by reciprocal measures from Russia. At the same time, any de jure recognition of the occupied territories proposed for demilitarization is ruled out. The section dedicated to European security contains demands to stop disinformation campaigns, cyber attacks, sabotage, violations of airspace, and interference in elections. A separate point concerns nuclear weapons in Belarus. The EU demands their absence, as well as a complete ban on Russian military presence and the deployment of troops in Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, and Armenia. This refers in particular to the territories of Abkhazia, South Ossetia, and Transnistria, where Russian forces have been present for many years, as well as to military bases in Armenia and Belarus. In addition, the document emphasizes the necessity of adhering to international law without granting amnesty for war crimes, allowing access for international investigators, and giving priority to international NATO obligations over Russian legislation. The EU also insists on compensation payments to Ukraine and European countries, including covering environmental damage. Previously, the Union froze about 210 billion euros of Russian assets and is already directing the income from them to support Kyiv. Among the internal conditions are holding free elections under international supervision, releasing political prisoners, returning deported civilians and children, ensuring freedom of the media, repealing repressive laws, and facilitating investigations into the murders of opposition figures. Trump's team understands well that the issue of Ukraine will, one way or another, become one of the central topics in the election campaign, alongside domestic problems in the US, the economy, and the socio-economic situation of citizens. This was stated by expert Taras Zovtenko. At the same time, it is hardly possible to talk about any truly strict or fixed deadlines. Trump himself has repeatedly stated that he does not have any deadlines, the expert noted. European intelligence agencies are pessimistic about the chances of reaching an agreement to end the war in Ukraine this year, despite Trump's statements that such a prospect is quite close. Reuters reports this, having recently spoken with the heads of 5 European intelligence agencies. The publication notes that these statements point to a striking gap in perspectives between European capitals and the White House, which, according to Ukraine, wants to reach a peace agreement as early as June. Do you believe that Trump and his delegation will actually be able to reach such a peace agreement before the start of summer? Write your thoughts in the comments and we'll read them. That's all for now. Leave a like and see you next time.